And yes, thank you for your patience. We just want to be fair to the people online as well, right? So and we're going to definitely come back to people in the room. We just want to share that the question asking process. And is there a license that a food truck needs to sell alcohol?
We don't.
Vendors cannot sell alcohol.
Or infused food or beverage. Nothing infused.
So we have another one of our leaders in the room who's sharing that we do not do so infused or alcoholic or tobacco products. We don't license, right? So is there a license if you have an ice cream vending vehicle which can pull over to make a sale? Are you allowed to sell other items such as cookies or other snacks? So at this point, what we're going to do is come back into the room, and I'm going to let Ms. Brody lead us through that. But if you have questions in the room, now is your time. If you are present with us in the room to ask your question. I ask you to speak slowly so the translators can get your question, and we'll go from there, okay?
Questions? Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure that I understand this correctly. So for Class A licensing, you need to get a license from the DC licensing department to be able to operate within the DC vicinity. But I think I heard another, yes.
Okay, so you need them both. So if you have a location in mind, then you will go online to complete the application in the area of interest, and DDOT will be notified, and then they will contact us to letting us know whether or not that location has been approved. Right.
Oh, this is an automated process. They get notified automatically, or is this something I have to initiate after I get my license
So
or
you
get the
don't
location approved?
You don't get the license first. The first step, you're going to send us your location. If you know a location that you're thinking of using,
Okay.
you're going to send that information to us by email.
Yes.
Once you send it to us by email, we're going to look it up. We're going to see if that location is even available to be utilized to sell or vend from that location. And if so, we will send you your map, and we're going to send a notification to DDAT to go out to see if they're going to approve it or disapprove this location.
Oh, okay, so you initiate that process then?
Correct.
With VDOT? Okay,
That
got
is
it.
correct, yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Right, so you don't need to call DDOT to find out what the status is. They will get back in contact with us, and we will contact you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
It just, either one.
I'm sorry,
Got
yes.
another question. If it's, do the same rules apply if it's on your own property? Let's say I have a building, and in the back part there's an alleyway, but I have parking. If I get the vendor's license and everything, can I park my vessel? I sell wood-fired pizza out of an oven. Can I put my oven there if I have the vendor's license? I'm not going anywhere. Would the city have an issue with that?
Private property.
So it's, even though that it's private property, we just did this with a business, Spice. It's a Spice, business that just opened up in Ward 8. And she took her parking lot in the rear and turned it into a public market. She still had to reach out to DDAT, because even though it's your public, your private spot or what have you, they have to go ahead and zone that and say it's okay for us to allow that activity to be at that location. Then you would then get your permit from them to operate, even if you want to make it like a public market or if you want to make that a spot for you to vend from. Health still will have to come out and inspect.
I wanted to put the stationary oven.
They get a certificate of occupancy, they have
And
a truck
truck
60
right there, all day. Yeah.
They get a business license,
Mobile delicatessen.
delicatessen.
Okay. Okay, got it.
But everything has to be already zoned or okay by DDAT or either our zoning people. Because you're going to get a certificate of occupancy for a mobile deli.
Yes.
Well, he actually wouldn't say he got a certificate of
Right.
occupancy.
Okay,
So you gotta
related
figure out what you
exactly
wanna
to
do.
that. So if the restaurant is closed due to COVID and the food truck is in the parking lot, that's going to be considered differently than if he owns the restaurant.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm working with Mr. Goodwin at Tori's restaurant across from the hospital. There's been a lot of stuff there, Lower Georgia Avenue. So thank you for that.
So, right there, I'm going to go 1, 2, and then 3. So burning question on our chat, there are 2 or 3 related. Do you need a vendor's license to rent concessions? So, this will be another question.
He's gonna speak in Arabic and I'm gonna interpret.
Sure.
حاجة دلوقتي مدة الانسبكشن زمان وقت سنة كاملة دلوقتي عملوها 6 اشهر احنا ما بنلحقش نجدد يعني دلوقتي سنة كاملة
So he's talking about the inspection period before it was time to renew and.
Talking about the DC health inspection.
Yeah, it was every 6 months. It always.
They not every 6 months no more?
Inspection before this 1 year, you pay $200 for 2 years, for 1 year. And
Back
now
then.
you change, this long time change, to 6 months. To 6 months and you pay $100. For inspection, nothing, if it's hot water, it's not hot water.
For the DC health.
Yeah.
Yes, but I have to tell you what happened.
Okay.
What happened is when I go to make renew license, is some the red hand you need time, the inspection you need time, this the research you need time. I can't all paper because I send it for you. It's not fair.
So you're talking about for the renewal process, right?
Yes, renewal.
Yeah, so the thing is, you don't wanna wait to the last minute to start getting all of your paperwork together, okay? Because you may have some hiccups with clean hands. You may have some hiccups with, the Department of Health. So if you see your license getting ready to expire, you might wanna start maybe like 3.
So I think what the thing
Help me out.
So the thing is, like I explained to you before, we as vendors, we're having problems with the background check. DC background check, for you to go online right now to have an appointment, because it's appointment only, the appointments are maybe 4 or 5 months ahead, outward. So then,
So we are aware of that, and
Yeah.
so we're working with MPD to see if we can potentially get them back over at the building to
Right.
be able to do some more background checks. But a lot of vendors have come to us expressing that there's been a long wait trying to get this.
right, and moving forward, like, can we establish some kind of process to make it more smoother and easier with the renewal process? I mean, like for clean hands, like let's say, my license is on hold or his license is on hold. Clean hands, for us to request clean hands through, the website, it's like, it takes months to submit it.
Fire inspection is supposed to be for 1 year.
That's the thing.
So
Yeah.
you're supposed to make sure you continue to renew. And if your license expires in September and you bring me a fire permit that expires in August, I'm gonna accept that because you got to renew your fire inspection in September. As far as your health, from my understanding, I thought they used to do it every 6 months. I didn't know that they changed that, but your health certificate, you're supposed to renew that every 6 months, right?
Yeah, what he's saying is back in the day, of course, they've been vendors for over 40 years. So back in the day, it was every year. It was a yearly thing. You had 2 options. Either you renew every 6 months and it was a different fee, or you renew every year and it's $200. That was back then.
Well, as long as your inspection, your DC health, your fire, everything is up to date, it shouldn't be a problem getting the renewal done. And you all have to make sure you know when your health certificate is I'm sorry, your health certificate.
أنا ما بعرفش أستخدم
Okay, he said he doesn't know how to use the internet. He said that in the past, you used to help him issue the license. Now you tell him go online. He doesn't know how to use the internet.
He can still come in and
He
we'll
can come
help
in
him
and we'll help
online.
him.
All our documents now are online.
But he cannot do it online.
Okay,
well-
Come to the building, and someone will
you
help
can
you.
schedule an appointment to come in.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Iman.
He said that he came to your building and they told him, no, you have to do it online.
Yes, because you can't upload documents in our office.
أنا
You can't
بياع مش
upload documents in our office, but I did tell him to take
He says he
pictures
doesn't know how
and
to
use
use a computer. He says he's only.
The thing is, I used to help him, like you said, but I have to help me. You know, my husband is in the business, my father is in the business, I have my sister in the business, so I can't be doing all this at one time, like.
Well, as they.
So outload,
If you.
I have to push an ice cream cart. This is not a stationary vehicle. I went through the entire process, and it took so long to get an appointment from the inspector for my clean hand certification, that my inspection for clean hand certification was out of date. Is there a direct number? At the time, has the no walk-ins thing changed? That is that question. Thank you for that question. It belongs with the Office of Tax and Revenue. Can you speak about vending on the National Mall and the Hill areas, please? Are those areas more regulated? So this is a Shakira question. Is it harder to find a location? I've heard about lotteries and wait lists for getting a location. Is this still like post-COVID for non-food vendors, Class B license holders?
So, thank you for that question. That's a lot of, we do have investigators that rove the area to ensure that every vendor who is designated licensed to be in their respective space, they're in their designated space. Now, we know that there's some bad actors, and we're working with the National Park Service as well as DPW and MPD to try to end some of the unlicensed activity that's occurring on the National Mall. So we are aware that that's an issue, and we have beefed up our enforcement, and we're working with our sister agencies like the Police Department, National Park Service, to try to get rid of try to minimize, because we can never get rid of, try to minimize the unlicensed vending activity that's occurring on the National Mall. And also in the 14th Street area.
So is the lottery
Also, the
system
lottery
active?
for the National Mall is only for bills, not for sidewalk.
Question is for Ms. Outlaw. I'm just gonna finish this and then we'll go right here. I haven't forgotten you at all. I got you. Do you need a business license or vendor certificate to do pop-up shops?
We don't license pop-up shops.
That ties in with what I was bringing up earlier about, pardon? No, about it would be kind of special event. It's just every so often they just think they can just go throw up at the table, make some money, and we want to keep them within the thing so that it's not all the time. It's kind of like special event, but not really special event, you know. So yeah, it gets really confused. Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Let me answer this one really fast. If you have a small mobile ice cream cart, do you have to identify a location?
Yes.
So he's saying that he has a hot dog stand, and he cannot. It's hard for him to compete with.
When do you think it will take place? You don't know yet?
It's the government.
Speculation?
Well, we do see that that is an issue, and so,
We're trying, but I can't.
Yeah, that's another question that my dad wanted to ask.
About the cards.
He's on 14th and Independence, and the issue with the food trucks on 14th, I know, you were just talking about enforcement and stuff like that, but it's where he's at right now, it's getting out of control to the point where they stand right behind his hot dog stand, like right behind his door. And that blocks him from even like entering, and he put in a lot of complaints through the website. But inspectors have come out and said we really can't do anything, and we don't have power to do anything about it.
So again, we're not the police. We cannot require, even though the law requires that they move along, we don't have weapons, we don't have firearms, we are investigators,
Right.
are not available.
Is there a way you can have like some kind of way you can get an inspector or something to like, monitor the area, like let's say twice a day, at least to like kind of just drive by with their car and kind of come out and say, you please, because it's destroying my dad's business overall. His income has like shrank significantly because of these trucks, and as you know, they're huge, and he's a hot dog stand, so it's like.
So yes, the vending, to answer your question, yes, that's exactly what we've been doing. We have roving inspections, And we also, again, we try to get ahead of it. So what we try to do is have inspectors out there prior to setup, and investigators, I'm sorry, out prior to setup to ensure that the illegal vendors cannot be there so that the legal vendors are present. It's a multi-pronged approach because not all property in the district belongs to DC, so we're not able to.
Doing more state operations with like sister agencies on that. And we're also going to be making sure that we'll be out there, like, you know, once or twice a day, so that we can make sure that the licensed vendors are from other communities. Also, is that at the National Mall, even though they got the lottery spots, they're not, illegal vendors are taking their spots or harassing them. So those are the things that we have to focus on.
So there was one question. Thank you for your patience. Can you ask your question? You can be a little loud.
Oh, I have no problem. No worries there.
Okay.
Good evening, and thank you again for this informational. My second time seeing you this week, Director. That is wonderful. I represent a pop-up, and I'm relatively new to vending. So if I have a pop-up that's brick and mortar, I want to know what are my licensing requirements. And if I'm doing a pop-up or I'm trying to do one in an open public space, what are my requirements and how do I jiggle and navigate that?
For the pop-up on the brick and mortar, you get a general business license for that. Depending on what's going to be sold inside of that pop-up.
It's just regular retail, no non-alcoholic.
I think that goes back to definition of what is a pop-up. I think that's really not clear with the DC government.
Approved in those locations simultaneously. So,
Up to 3 locations.
And they have to have that employee. If they're going to operate simultaneously, they need an employee.
you will need, so say that.
Employee badges for vendor.
Okay.
Location that you're trying to operate. They said 3 locations, but you have to pay for a permit for each location.
Site permit.
So this person said, the presenter said, you do not license pop-up shops. So we only need to have a D.dot approved spot.
No, we don't issue a vendor license for pop-up shops.
But if it's
You would need a
outside,
general business license for a pop-up shop in the inside. If it's outside, you need a Class C public license.
If we have a background check done recently for conceal and carry in DC, can that be used in lieu of the specific background for your agency?
How far is that?
within 30 days.
Within 30 days. Within 30 days.
Within 30 days, will be the answer to that question. That's an answer.
I believe the app is more than you only have that's in either August or September.
Somewhere near the monument. What is required? Like 14 the Constitution.
Okay, we don't do special or temp license for vending. if someone is holding an event down there, you have to reach out to them to see if you can participate as a.
Okay, but you don't
You
issue.
don't issue a license.
I got it.
Who's in charge and you pay for, like, just like how Mineral has a flea market.
I pay a certain amount just to use their space, like, I pay $40 each week just to vend at their location. However, who's ever in charge, they pay to them for everyone to be there.
Is that over where the state is?
Yeah.
If they are participating in a special event, then DC Health will work with the event organizer to help with
Oh, yeah, so they can get an inspection and things for your.
So you think this just will help in the process?
I've already gotten that one.
So I would like to,
Don't forget,
can add some of these great questions into our FAQ, please. Because these are really excellent questions. The more information we put online, the better it is. And these are excellent questions. So we
I'm
want to make
definitely
sure
gonna
that,
get
when I
did you get my
all the
text? I wanna
questions-
make sure